Welcome to Patty's Aquatics.
Welcome to Patty's Aquatics. My name is Adam and welcome to the fish room. So today I'm going to take you guys along for the ride for basically a big project I plan on undertaking, and it involves my 75-gallon puffer tank back here that also houses my Crebensis cichlids. They're all hiding right now because, well, I just turned the lights on and it's probably about 3:30 in the morning where I am right now, because this is the time I have to be able to do it. So what I'm going to do, what am I doing? Well, if you've been following along on the channel, I have done many different renditions of this tank over the last couple years, from dirt to taking away the dirt, just sand, and taking away the sand and putting in some gravel, and then changing things around and adding more gravel. Well, I love the gravel. I'm keeping the gravel, but I want to do something a little different. Now, in a few other tanks I've showed you guys on my channel, I have Undergravel filters under them, and they've been doing so great. Well, I got a couple more kits from the Aquarium Co-op Easy Undergravel Filter System. I'm putting that in there, and that's what I'm going to do. So in this video, I will take you guys along for the ride and show you every little bit what I'm doing. I want to go over this system itself and show you exactly how it works and how beneficial and how just customizable it really is, and how cool it is, and why I love them so much. I also will go over, especially near the end, really some of the things I've heard about downfalls, why people might be a little leery of Undergravel filters. But I want to tell you exactly what my thoughts are on them and why maybe that may not be correct. So to try to keep this video under so long, so it's not terribly long, let's get started. But the first thing I got to do really is going to be the hard, long part, is I got to get this thing emptied out. So I got a few totes. I'm going to put some water, siphon some water into them. I'm going to get my puffer in one of them. I'm going to get all the Crebensis in another bucket, kind of take out all the rocks and the wood, and then all the substrate I'm going to keep and reuse, except for probably the sand, and I'll go over that in a little bit and take that all out and clean it all out, and from there we'll hook back up and I'll show you this Undergravel filter, I'll show you how it works, and I will show you what I have planned for this bad boy of a tank. All right, so that was the hard part, and the longest part was removing all of that out of there. The fish, everything in a tote, all the gravel I got out. I had to siphon all that sand out. So let's talk a little bit about that Aquarium Co-op Easy Undergravel Filter System now. I want to show you everything about that. First off, the kit comes with 20 of these little pieces that are interchangeable, these little plate pieces, which I'll show you in a second. It also comes with 2 flip tubes, the parts for that, and 2 air stones, and everything that is included. And what I love about this is that on the box here, they show you exactly how many pieces you would need for the different styles of tanks that there are. I find that to be incredibly useful, especially if you're really not sure and you haven't put one of these together. For a 75-gallon, it says I need 48 pieces, which is correct. I did the measurements, but I'm not going to do the entire tank. I have 40 pieces total, but I'm keeping 9 of them for a separate project. So I'm going to have 31 pieces to be able to put in here. So what am I going to do with it? Well, first and foremost, what I love about these plates are, like I said, you can connect them together. Now, if you look at every individual plate here, they have these little tabs, a female and male end, and on both ends like that. So you can clip them together however you would like. So you just simply go together and boom, like that. So you can add them on whichever direction you want. And then you can even go, hey, let's say we want to go like this, and then put a piece like that direction. So you can do it however you like. You can leave openings, which by the way is something I'm going to be doing in here, which I love about the customability about it. And then secondly, for the uplift tubes, now that comes with there's a few pieces. First is this piece here. This is what gets hooked onto the plates, and this is what's going to go down. So that goes right into the slot on there, and then they slide around. Now that's what I love about these things the most. Other manufacturers that make undergravel filter systems and ones I've seen years ago in the past, you had just a standard plate. And this is what you had to do, and this is where your uplift tube is. This gives you the ability to be able to put it anywhere in the tank that you want. You simply just slide it on. Sorry. And like I said, put it wherever you'd like. Now, next is this other collar here and an air stone. Now, the air stone is going to go underneath here, inside of here. So that's going to get hooked onto there. Now, with this, you're going to be using a little air hose. What you want to do is you cut a small piece of air hose, just enough to connect the air stone to the inside little nozzle inside of here. Now, a little tip, don't cut it too long. You want it just so it's touching, because if you cut it a little bit too long, I found out this the hard way when I was setting up my shiner tank, is when I set it all together, that little air hose pinches a little bit because this is touching the plate, and then no airflow comes out, and I was wondering why it wasn't working, and I had to take it all apart and figure out that was the cause. So make sure when you cut that air hose, you want to get your air stone pretty much really butted up to that little nozzle underneath here. And then you put that together, and then we get the uplift tubes that you get from Aquarium Co-op. They send the gray ones, the black ones, excuse me. I do have green ones. I may put the green ones in, but I think I'll just stick with these because that came with it. But so anyway, so that's really the kit, which I said I love about it, is because you can do pretty much anything that you want with these things. You can set it up however you want. Now, like I said, you don't have to fill an entire tank bottom with these either. Maybe you just want to do a corner. Maybe you just want to do a corner with gravel just to get some added filtration along those lines. So like I said, it's so customizable, and I really love that you can really make any type of pattern or anything to fit any type of shape or whatever you're looking for within your tank. So what am I going to do? So my idea for in here now is, because like I said, I have 31 of these to begin with. My thinking was I would like to maybe do like a U pattern. Like we'll have them come off the edges and in, and then go back, but then leave like maybe a section in the back, so that I have like one section in the middle here that's open. Now, my idea behind that was, well, obviously I have crebenza cichlids in there. Now, cichlids are known to dig, obviously, but with pea gravel, what I noticed even when I pull those rocks out of there, they're really not digging in the gravel, because I think it's a little too heavy for them to move around too much. So I don't really think I have to worry of them exposing the plate really, but just to be safe a little bit, I think I'm going to leave that middle section open where I can put that big piece of wood in that rock pile, so at least I can dig down a little farther into the gravel for them. So that's the idea behind that. And then my uplift tubes, I think I'll put 3 of them in here, 2 in the corners, and I'll put 1 in the middle. I'm not going to run the sponge filters in here anymore, but I'm going to continue to run the canister filter. You can never get enough filtration. That's the idea about that anyway. So really, to get started with this part then, is really putting this together. So like I said, I'm going to start building it. I'm going to start building them. The way I figured it out, I can put 3, it goes about 3 long to go to the length of the tank. So I'll start building the edges going in, and then I'll go from there. And when I got that set up, we'll meet back up and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, guys, so I got the plate in here and I got the uplift tubes in for right now. As you can see, I created an area, open area here. I made that U-shaped form, got a little bit of openness on the edges, but that's okay, because these uplift tubes, and that's going to suck all the water flow down through the gravel, and they even have slots on the side, so there still will be getting circulation, even though there'll be gravel here without a plate, and it'll be going under there. So this is just more added filtration, and that's what I absolutely love about it. Now, the uplift tubes, I decided not to put those curved ends right now that it can shoot up near the surface. I may add them on later. I wanted to see how that would work with these in there first. I do have in my shiner tank, I've got 2 of them on and 1 without, And then my nano community, I don't have it on at all. I kind of like that too. So like I said, I want to play with it a little bit. If I want to add them, I'll throw them back on then there in the near future. But for right now, I'm just going to go with this. So next step obviously is putting the gravel in. Now you want to put at least 1.5 to maybe 2 inches of gravel. You want to make sure you have enough of a thickness in there so that it doesn't break open and you lose suction basically, because all your waste and particles will come down into the gravel, and your gravel will then in essence become your filter, and that's what you're looking for there. So I will get this all set up, and then I want to talk a little bit more about really the Undergravel filters, what I expect from them, what I've seen from them so far in almost 6 months, keeping them. And I want to talk a little bit about especially some of the things that people, I've heard why they don't really care for Undergravel filters, and I want to kind of like put a nix into some of that, at least in my opinion. But so let me get the gravel in here. Let me get these all hooked up. I'll get the scape in here. Maybe I'll even throw the fish back in here, and then we'll talk some more. But like I said, I really love these plates from this Undergravel filter because they're so customizable. You can do whatever you want with them. I mean, heck, you could just do half the tank if I wanted to and keep the other half open. Like I said, you can do whatever you want with it, whatever design is going to best fit your needs. And for me, I kind of like this one. I wanted some areas in there. But anyway, let me get this set up, and then we'll touch back again. All right, guys, so while it's filling up here, I scaped it and everything, got the gravel in. While it's filling up here, let's talk a little bit. First and foremost, there's a few things that I have heard when I was doing my research into Undergravel filters, and if it was something I wanted to do initially. And one of the things a lot of people would come back to me was the plants. You can't have a planted tank with an Undergravel filter. And then there's a few odd other people that would say, well, yes, you can. Well, I can tell you with certainty already, it's only been 6 months since I set my first one up, but plants are not an issue with Undergravel filters. I actually believe it's actually beneficial for the plants. I've seen incredible plant growth in crypts and other plants within my tanks over here since I set them up. And I believe it's really that flow that goes down through the root system, and I think that's highly beneficial for the plants. Now, the one thing I will say, obviously, if you're going to grow swords or crypts, ones that really have big root systems, they can latch into your plate, so potentially clog or block flow, I would guess. But if you would want to tear your tank apart like I do sometimes, that wouldn't be the greatest, but I don't plan on doing that with these guys right now. Like I said, I know I say that all the time, and you guys are probably, if you watch my channel nonstop, you probably are like, yeah, sure. Well, the bottom line is I plan on keeping this tank the way that it is as long as it's successful, and that's what I'm looking for. And so the plant thing is not a true thing in my opinion that I've seen. Now, the other thing I want to talk about a little bit is I hear people talk about how, you know, you're going to have to tear your whole tank apart when you want to do an actual filter cleaning, because you're going to get all that mold and detritus that's going to build up underneath your plate and clog it up, and you're not going to be able to get that out. Or some people would take like a shop vac out the uplift tubes and suck everything out, or whatever. But my thinking is now with my other tanks, like I said, only been 6 months, only been 5 months. So I got a long ways to go to really get a determining factor on that. But looking under the tanks, I can see underneath them, and will be able to see underneath this one. I'll really be able to tell what that accumulation is and if there is any. I can say for certainty on these other two, nothing is really built up underneath there yet. It just looks dirty. And other ways around that, in my opinion, is do gravel vacuum. Now, that's the other thing maintenance-wise. I've seen people talk about how, I've read about how you should only maybe clean your gravel like once a year, and you just kind of like stir it up. And other people, like I've talked to Corey from Aquarium Co-op, he said at their shop they would gravel vac. They had undergravel filters for 7 years, and all they do is they gravel vac. And if you gravel vac right, you don't have to worry about it. So my thinking is if you're going to gravel vac in areas, you're going to probably pull some of that up out from underneath the plate. And then two, the other thing is people are concerned, well, if you're going to go do that with your gravel vacuuming and cleaning your gravel probably more than others suggest, is that going to cause your tank to crash, the cycle to crash, because you're getting rid of so much of that beneficial bacteria? But that brings me back to numerous videos I've had in the past about how beneficial bacteria doesn't just live in the gravel. It lives everywhere within your tank. It lives on the walls, on your decorations, on the plants. It's everywhere. So by cleaning part of your gravel isn't going to take away all of it. Now, if you just newly set up your aquarium and then you do a huge gravel vac, yeah, you might have some issues. But I don't think you're going to have an issue there. But another thing I thought of, well, what if you just gravel vac like half of your tank one time, and the next time you do the other half? You know, it's the same thing as if you're taking a filter apart and you're doing, you know, cleaning only parts of it compared to others. I think that's hugely beneficial as well. So those are like the two big things I've heard when like doing research into this. Now, another thing is, like I said, I'll keep you guys updated as far as what's happening underneath the tank and underneath these plates. I will be keeping an eye on them. And probably in the next 6 months or so, I'll probably do a video on that and show you guys really what's going on. I've had already some things in my head to try to figure out what I could do if there would be issues. And I thought, well, can't I just drop an airline down into the uplift tubes down underneath the plates and use that as a siphon basically and siphon out all the detritus and mold? I mean, that'd be a great way to do that as well. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to have to worry about that, but those are just ideas I was thinking of. So right now, let me finish getting this filled up. I'll get these uplift tubes fired up with the air, and then we'll talk a little bit more and finish this up. All right, everyone, so it's all filled back up. Everything's running and rocking and rolling. The water is all cloudy, obviously, because I just set it up. I'm going to let it run probably for like an hour or so. Then I'll put the fish back in there. I'll probably put some footage at the end of this video to show you crystal clear with the fish in there. A few things I want to touch on quick before we wrap this video up is, one, there's no sand in here anymore like I used to have in here. And now typically someone asks me, what substrate should you use for a puffer? I would tell them sand. But I think really the temperament of the fish and the attitude of the fish can play a bigger role within just the normal advice you would find online for specific fish. My fish never buries itself. Heck, when I put that sand in here over here, he never even went in anymore. When he sleeps and when he lays down at night, it's always in the gravel in the back. So I figured, why do I keep the sand in here then if he's not even using it? I'm going to use this filter and everything with it. So that's why I don't have sand in there. Another thing, obviously, like I said, again, I want to talk about is this filter. This Undergravel Filter from Aquarium Co-op, which the link will be in the description. I just can't speak more highly of it. Now, I've gone pretty much head in for these Undergravel filters, if you can't tell already, but I love how customizable these are. Like I showed you guys, like you can do anything you want with them. You can fit any part of a tank with them. You can do anything, and it's so much beneficial to be able to have these under the gravel. Now, I will say this. If you have an established tank already that's seasoned and good, and plants are growing great, and you have gravel, I mean, yeah, don't rip it apart and put an Undergravel filter under it. You already got what you want. For me, I had just started this one a couple months ago. The plants really weren't taking off yet. I figured if I wanted to get this in here, now would be the time to do it. So that's what I did. And the other thing is, these filters aren't a be-all, end-all when it comes to tanks. Now, yes, like I said, I'm diving headfirst into them, but I am under the realization, and I know that these are a partner to your system. They're attribute. They help the tank. They're not a standalone thing. Because filtration, you can never have enough filtration. Now the fact that I have this undergravel filter and the filtration coming through the gravel, but I also have my canister, it's just that added layer of filtration I think is great. And on top of the plant growth, like I mentioned before, I've seen such great plant growth within my aquarium, in my shiner tank and such, that I really wanted to get that flowing through the root system for these swords and crypts in this tank. And I think it's going to be hugely beneficial, but you know, time will tell, obviously, and those are things that I'm going to be monitoring and sharing with you guys over time. Like I said, the next 6 months and a year will be very telling as far as if there's really going to be issues with this or not. You know, like I said, these filters are not a be-all end-all, but they definitely are something that can help you as a hobbyist if you're running gravel. Now, obviously, if you're running sand or if you're running dirt, it's really not going to work for that unless you figure a way around it. Like I mentioned in a past video, I've seen somebody that put like that black underlayment that you would use outside in landscaping under your mulch down on some plates and put dirt and sand on top of that. I don't know if I would ever try. I know I never would try that, but it was interesting to watch. I really think the great flow through this gravel is going to be very beneficial. So anyway, Undergravel Filter from Aquarium Co-op. I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about in this video, but I will be making plenty of videos in the future when it comes to these undergravel filters, because I really want to kind of get to the bottom of everything and everything that's talked about online. You know, to really say, just because you read things online doesn't mean that it's necessarily true and that you can't do other things around it anyway. So like I said, Aquarium Co-op, easy undergravel filter system. Link will be in the description. If it's something that you're interested in. If not, follow along on the channel and hit that sub button and subscribe, and you can see just how these things are going to work for me over the next 6 months to the year. Maybe if you're one of those people that think, that's old tech, I don't want anything to do with that, maybe I can prove you wrong and show you that the way the Aquarium Co-op set these things up, that there are beneficial attributes to it, and maybe it is something that you would want in your arsenal of filtration and maybe in your next tank that you're going to set up. So anyway, like I said, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and then I hope to see you again next time here at Patty's Aquatics.